Alex Scott. A bidding war is set to commence for Alex Scott. Loads of news coming out this morning. We've got the Athletic deal sheet to talk about as well. Because as much as I'm trying to be positive, I'm going to be 100% honest. This transfer window isn't looking great for Manchester United. The left back, the left wing, the striker option, Xerxes potentially being used at the start of the season as Benjamin Sesko is still nursing a shin injury. That worries me a little bit. Also, a little bit of cold water has been poured on Manu Kone. How do we feel about that? But get your comments in, get your super chats in, make it a super interactive show. But the starting news and the news we have to get into is
Warren Zaïre-Emery. Manchester United are preparing an opening bid of around 51 million, 60 million euros for Paris Saint-Germain midfielder Warren Zaïre-Emery as Carrick continues searching for a third central midfielder. United reportedly viewed a 20-year-old as the final piece of their midfield rebuild following the signings of Santos and Tielemans, with club officials believing another dominant presence is still required in the centre of the pitch. Warren Zaïre-Emery has established himself as one of Europe's brightest young midfielders and offers versatility that appeals to Old Trafford decision-makers, with the Frenchman capable of playing both in central midfield and at right back when required. Very capable at right back, by the way. Although the World Cup campaign ended in frustration after making only 2 appearances for France, his club form has remained impressive. Paris Saint-Germain Academy graduate enjoyed an excellent season in France, starting 47 of his 54 appearances. I got that one right. Across all competitions, as he rediscovered the consistency that made him one of the club's standout young talents. However, convincing PSG to sell could prove difficult. This is where it gets interesting, and this is where Ineos are going to have to really step up to the mark if they're going to want to do anything with this. The League One champions have the midfielder tied down till 2029, with the option of extending his stay for another year. So contracts in, there's no get outs anywhere in this at all. So it's big. And reportedly value him at around 68 million. So it's some 17 million short of what the supposed reported initial bid for United. And look, it is just early reports at the moment, but the MEN have also jumped onto this story as well. I'm going to tell you right now, Carrick, if he's looking to bring someone like this in, he's going to be looking to Ineos and asking the question, because Carrick will know how good this kid is. He'll know how important he is. At 20 years old, to be able to hold his own in that squad, playing different positions like he can comfortably, and let's not be kidding ourselves here, United may need a fullback yet. I would put both positions in one. I would say, what would you have spent on a fullback and another midfielder together? And that's probably the value that PSG will put onto Warren Zaïre-Emery. He is an outstanding player, and I think top-notch. One of the best targets that United will probably have had on their list this season. You forget about Matheus Fernandes, you can forget about Sandro Tonali. The potential of this kid is phenomenal. And the fact that he can play in both positions. This would be a transfer that I would put ahead of plenty others. And I'm not just saying this because I'll go back to what I did a year ago. And you can look the video up on this channel. It's there when United were originally interested in him. So this is another one of them transfers that United have had on the radar and have been looking at for a certain length of time. And if you were to say to me there was one player, I'd pick out not an academy player, well, he's 20 years old, pick out a young player, an Ineos profile type of player that is absolutely bang on the money, exactly what Manchester United need from anywhere in the world. Warren Zaïre-Emery is that. I've done a video on Zaire-Emery before. I reported on this, guess when? Last year. Now, I'm not saying that Man United are going to go out and buy Warren Zaïre-Emery. I'm going to bring you the story of which 2 different publications are running right now and people are starting to talk about. And this is off the back of the news that came from this morning's show of Alex Scott not accepting the contract extension at Bournemouth, turning that down, and what's happened from then, because we'll mix that into the Zaire-Emery story here, because there is obviously links to it, and there's a clear signal for Manchester United right now. Money, for some reason, is tight. It's being spent elsewhere. I can tell you right now, it's got to be something to do with the land involvement and the stadium and other things at Manchester United right now, because we're hearing from Chris Wheeler this morning, again, after the Alex Scott situation, that United need to sell if they want to buy Alex Scott. Well, they don't need to sell to buy every single midfielder that they're looking at right now. Scott has got an £80 million price tag on him. Bournemouth don't want to sell. and United are kind of stuck. They've already spent 85 million on the midfield, and it takes them above their budget and what they want to spend. They're going to stick to their budget, as we have found out through the entirety of this transfer window so far. So, where does this bring Warren Zaïre-Emery into the equation? Well, I'll talk about this now, but just to give you the absolute clarity on the Alex Scott situation. Again, if you didn't watch this morning, just to keep you in the picture, Alex Scott is not accepting Bournemouth's contract extension. He wants to leave. Fabrizio Romano has now come out onto this and reported on it and said that we will see what happens now, because normally Bournemouth would get a player to sign a contract and then get a release clause going into 2027. Give us one more year, like Semenyo. That's not happening. So the rules have changed and the situation is developing and changing every single day, it would seem, with that one. But the general consensus coming out from correspondents around Manchester United is that United don't want to spend that money. So let's look at what else there is out there. There's not enough conviction in the Manu Kone transfer right now. Again, United would have gone and got this deal done if they were fully convinced, like they did with Tielemans, like they did with, of course, Andre Santos. That was easy for United to do. The price was within budget, and so too is Kone, going off all of the latest reports. United still not contacting Roma, though. Very, very interesting on that one, because that has died in the last 2 days when we thought it would gather momentum. Now, the latest story coming in from France, and this has been picked up by the MEN as well, and now obviously other aggregators are also reporting this news. By the way, Warren Zaïre-Emery, fantastic player, by the way, and is an unsung hero at PSG. He's actually got a cult hero status there, I feel, at the moment. So this is a kid at 20 years old on an Enrique squad with that midfield, and you know who's in that midfield. You know who's in it. I mean, when you look at Ruiz, when you look at, obviously, Neves, when you look at Vitinha, the list goes on in terms of actual balling midfielders within that PSG squad. For Warren Zaïre-Emery to actually feature and start in, I think, 47 games this season. Now, the interesting thing with Emery on this is, Warren Zaïre-Emery, is that he has also played 20 plus games this season for PSG at right back. He plays 6, he plays 8, and he has played for Enrique at right back this season. It's probably why he's got so many starts. Obviously, there have been issues, and he's obviously been filling in at the back throughout the season. So he's got plenty more game time. Obviously, he'll do anything to play within the Enrique squad, and has made a big, big impact and played a big part in them winning multiple trophies. If you want to know the trophies that this kid has actually won already, he's got 2 Champions League trophies to his name. He's also got 4 French championships to his name, a Super Cup also to his name, International Cup winner as well. The list goes on. French Cup winner twice. The kid has won absolutely everything there is to win, and that is obviously off the back of being part of one of the best squads in world football right now anyway. But the latest story coming out from this as well, around this actual potential signing for Manchester United.
This is how Manchester United turn their transfer window around. Do not get me wrong, Andre Santos, I think he's going to be a good signing. Youri Tielemans is an excellent signing, but we need that midfield that comes in and gets you off your seat. We need that player that's young, hungry, Premier League proven and ready to go. And as we know, Alex Scott is refusing to sign a new contract at Bournemouth as of now, and that opens the doors to other clubs. So let me get into the latest news that's coming out from Fabrizio Romano. So it did break earlier on from Sky Sports that Alex Scott is not signing a new deal with Bournemouth. Bournemouth still very reluctant to sell. Their stance is if any clubs come knocking, Alex Scott is not for sale. We're going to keep him. Don't matter if he doesn't sign a new contract. We're keeping him. We're confident that we'll be able to get money for him. We're confident that we want him as our player. We can negotiate next summer, or we can negotiate with him throughout the season on getting that contract worked out and getting him to sign. So with Alex Scott, still the stance from Bournemouth is we're not going to sell. That is the current stance. But him not signing that deal does pique the interest of other clubs that are interested in Alex Scott. And this is what Fabrizio Romano had to say. So he has said Bournemouth have offered Alex Scott a new contract for the second time and were open to including a release clause, but the player has rejected the proposal. And can I just say I back that? I was having this discussion with my dad the other day and I was like, would you sign it if you were Alex Scott or not? Because what they're going to be pitching to him is Semenyo signed and he went to Man City in the January. We got the money in. He got his move. You are going to go, but let's work it out together. Your wage is going to dramatically increase up until that moment. You're going to be well compensated and you can get your move when it's right for us. That's what they'll be pitching. Hang on a second, what's going on behind me here? Ballard's in motion, love that. That's the joys of being out live and about, everyone. But with Alex Scott, that's what they'll pitch into him. And do you want to do that? Do you want to risk the clubs not wanting to pay that price? Do you want to risk the clubs not being interested again in January? It depends whether you back yourself or not. If I'm Alex Scott, and I think if you've got ambition as a player and you see the likes of Arsenal, Man United, specifically Man United, and Chelsea all sniffing around, you're thinking to yourself, hang on a second, I can get a move now. I can get a big move now. I've been in and around the England camp where my fellow peers are going playing Champions League football. They're playing on the biggest stage. I don't want to wait. So I back Alex Scott for doing what he needs to do to get a move, because him not signing that deal is him saying, I'm open to leaving the football club. That's what he's doing there. Then Fabrizio Romano goes on to say the club's message was essentially to stay for one more season and play European football, after which he could use the release clause in the summer of 2027 to join his preferred club, much like Semenyo did before choosing City. Bournemouth do have European football, so that is quite a big stance from Alex Scott to do that. Despite the rejection, Bournemouth are maintaining a firm stance that Scott is not for sale and remains untouchable. However, repeatedly turning down new contract offers often creates the conditions for movement. Scott is highly regarded by several big clubs, including Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, so interest from them is expected to intensify following this latest development. Look, we have Ben Jacobs on the show on Thursday, and I'm so excited to get into that show with him because he did predict that we were coming into some vital couple of weeks when it came to Alex Scott and whether he was going to decide to sign that new deal or make his stance clear that he's not signing. So now, Man United essentially have that green light to start negotiating. We know what Manchester United like to do. We want the buy-in with the player. We want them to say, we want Manchester United, and then we'll put the money down on the table and we'll try and negotiate with the club. Bournemouth are going to be difficult. But I do have to say, if Man United come in, if Chelsea come in, if Arsenal come in, where do you think Alex Scott's picking out of them three clubs? Because for me, and I'm not even just saying it because I'm stood in front of the best footballing club in England / in my opinion the world, but some people might argue with that, but I don't. I'm stood here right now and I'm saying it. Look, with Alex Scott, what you can do with Manchester United, you can say you're going to be starting, you're going to have regular game time, we've got Champions League football. I mean, your stepsister plays for the women's team and captains it. Come on now. You've got family affairs with the club. Chelsea, how much game time are you going to get? Andre Santos has just left Chelsea to get more game time. If Enzo Fernandez stays, which is looking more likely, Caicedo's there, where are you playing for Chelsea? Cole Palmer's there, Morgan Rogers is there. Where are you playing for Chelsea? And they've not got European football. So you've actually got European football with Bournemouth. Chelsea don't even have that. Obviously Rogers has left Villa to go to Chelsea. It's sort of a different circumstance when it comes to an actual midfielder that's going to want to go and going to want to play games for a club. So Chelsea I don't see being in the race, but you can't ever rule them out, as we've seen. And with Arsenal, yes, they are Premier League champions. They've got to a Champions League final. They are a very attractive prospect. I cannot deny that whatsoever. However, again, game time is going to be a question. Declan Rice is massive for them. Zubimendi's in the mix. I mean, you probably are going to get game time at Arsenal, but they've had other targets as well. And there is rumours that he is a boyhood Spurs fan. And if he is a boyhood Spurs fan, look, if I'm a Manchester United fan from birth, if Man City came in for me, or for example, Chelsea came in for me, I don't really like Chelsea either, but I'd rather play for Chelsea than Man City. That's sort of the way it goes. When it gets to the professional level, maybe that can change a little bit. But with Alex Scott, I do think Manchester United are in a good position. It's just whether we're going to pay the money. And this is where I'm a little bit concerned, because Chris Wheeler brought out an update within the last couple of hours that even if Bournemouth could be persuaded to do business over Alex Scott after he turned down a new contract, Man United will probably need to sell players to afford the 80 million fee after spending 85 million on Andre Santos and Yuri Tillemans. And to that I say, I don't believe it, to be honest with you. Chris Wheeler of the Daily Mail, excellent reporter, and I think he's only reporting what he's hearing, and I do not doubt his credibility in the slightest. We've had him on the show, he's fantastic. But I think United are briefing something that isn't accurate. We were willing to spend 80 million on Elliot Anderson. We were willing to spend, or get to, 85 million for Matheus Fernandes with add-ons. We've spent 85 million on Andre Santos and Yuri Tillemans, but you're telling me if we signed just Mateus Fernandes and just Elliot Anderson, we weren't signing another midfielder? Yes, we were. We were always signing at least 2 midfielders. So there is money there for another midfielder. There is money there for a marquee midfielder, and we always should have been signing 3 midfielders at the start of this summer. So the fact the money isn't there when Alex Scott has been briefed to be one of your big targets throughout the summer and he's finally decided that he's not signing that deal, I think that there is something going on there. And I also think, do you remember the other week when Goldbridge was talking about Manu Kone being one of the options for the 3rd midfielder and then that secret midfielder? I mean, I don't know how much is in that, but if Alex Scott hadn't yet told his stance to Bournemouth that I am not signing a new deal, it could have been him, and Manchester United could have been basically signalling to him, we need you to make your stance clear so we can come in for you. Or another club that's negotiating for him, possibly.